Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare, and welcome back to Deus Ex. Going to finish up our business in Hell's Kitchen next. And once and for all, I believe. This may in fact be the last Hell's Kitchen video we'll ever see. Oh, and by the way, turns out the sewers are still open here. Be careful which one you enter. Also about this guy. Apparently MJ-12 finally sent someone to see what the hell was going on down here. More's the shame. And actually, yeah, aside from 60 more skill points for coming down here, the area has restocked once again. The caved-in passage is still caved in. But hey, funny thing is that if you can remember what the code is for this area, it still works. I'm not going back there. I believe that all that's back there is just another worthless pistol. But yeah, look at all these crates down here. Come on. 10mm, I'm not going to die for that. Oh, lockpick. Full-on lockpicks. Just like before, it looks like I'm not receiving any toxic damage from remaining in here. Those two were just med kits again. So yeah, not too much of a reason to come down here. Also, that was the wrong ladder. But not too much of a reason to come down here. Aside from getting 60 bonus skill points just for showing up. My leg's not doing too well there. I can fix that though. Although I wonder if there might be stuff on the pipes again. Oh, and there is. That'll take a little damage, but the extra bio cells, suddenly I'm using a whole ton of them. Doesn't look like there's anything else to find on these pipes though. So, still, you know, worth the trip. Worth a look, anyhow. But now it's time to go. Say farewell to the water treatment plant. And, you know, before this, I never even bothered coming down here. I didn't realize that you could keep coming back and finding new stuff. Wonder how the bar's doing. This is under martial law, after all. Can't imagine there's too many people who can get out at night. Forget if they said if there's a curfew, but there's definitely a curfew. You know there is. Hey there, buddy.
UNATCO's put a price on your head. What are you doing in the city? I didn't expect the kitchen to be under martial law. People know the government has a vaccine. Riots everywhere. You still on a dole at UNATCO? I never mentioned. I've been working for the NSF all along, and the Illuminati. I'm on your side. Right, the Illuminati. I need to find one of their leaders, Stanton Dowd. A load of plague virus is on its way to New York. Virus? You mean the Great Death? What's Dowd got to do with it? The same corporation that makes ambrosia also manufactures the virus. Quite convenient. The virus came over in a super freighter previously owned by Dowd. Yeah, most of Majestic 12 is just hand-me-downs from the Illuminati. Huh. We knew about ambrosia, but the virus? That's news. They're infecting people on purpose, huh? I was hoping Dowd could tell me where the freighter would unload. I'll contact him. Go to the burn-up storefront of Osgood & Sons, over where the tunnels connect to the warehouse district. You know, where the NSF had the generator. I'll try to get him to meet you there. Osgood & Sons. Yeah, and JC, be careful who you mention the Illuminati to. Like Joe Green. He's a spy for UNATCO. The reporter? Are you sure? Here's the proof. Hey, kill Green and you'll be doing all of us a favor. I saw him hanging around the free clinic. Dowd doesn't like to be contacted directly. You'll have to trust me. Green doesn't know who I really work for, so I managed to get him talking. Apparently, they promised Green some kind of position in Washington. Someone will meet you in the alley. Someone will meet you in the alley.
Oh, hey there.
You out here because of martial law? I didn't know they were using Marines.
Nah, Yanako likes to work alone. I just came out to look up a girl I used to know, Sandra Renton. FEMA gave me a pass for the curfew.
She left town.
I know. Just my luck.
What's FEMA doing handing out travel papers?
They took over the advanced submarine base where I work. I don't like being pushed off duty, but I guess little R&R never hurt anyone.
They brought in their own staff?
Most of us were moved out of the main submarine hangar last night. FEMA set up a perimeter. We sure like to know what's going on in there.
Suppose it makes sense that the Marine sounds like Gomer Pyle.
I would too. Maybe I'll check it out for you.
You a cop?
Used to be.
I'll say it straight. I'm a patriot. I don't like to see one of our top secret bases commandeered, especially when the only people allowed inside are these Asian mafia types. You think you can do something about it, I can have my buddies at the front gate let you slip by. My name's Vinny. Tell them you know me.
Thanks. I'll see what I can find out.
Us Americans, last of a dying breed. We've got to stick together. I don't know why we let so many crooks run this country. I saw Walton Simons himself get out of a helicopter on the roof of the hangar. We know a cover-up when we see one.
I suppose you've probably been through enough of them.
I asked one of the guys, so what's the emergency? Why's FEMA here? He said, you ask one more question, the emergency's gonna be you. That's how they talk to you. Us Americans, last of a dying breed. We've got to stick together.
Nothing else behind the bar this time.
What do you want? Prices have tripled to 30 because of martial law.
Not that I would have bought anything anyway. So you can bring up Stanton Dowd with her, but if you recall, she is an ex-UNATCO. That's where she got her augmentations.
Never mind.
And she is still loyal to the organization, so if you bring up Stanton Dowd, she will contact the people she still knows in UNATCO, and there will be a thug waiting to try and assassinate Stanton when you see him. ATMs are empty. I probably should have expected that. But yeah, if you talk to her, or if you talk to Joe Green about Stanton Dowd, there will be a thug there waiting to kill him once you finish talking to him. Everything's pretty terrible. Can't get to Battery Park, naturally. The way I want to go is actually through the back way here. But yeah, that's why Joe Green was so suspicious. And that's actually why he published the article on Ambrosia, because MJ-12 is trying to incite riots to basically to force martial law, so they have the excuse to take over. It's what they did in Paris, too.
There's talk that you're a spy.
A spy? For whom?
You aren't a reporter at all. You work for UNATCO.
Guess you scooped me this time.
And he admits it. Of course, he's completely unarmed. But that just makes this easier. I should probably look at the image. Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be doctored, but yeah, that is him talking to a couple MJ-12 MIBs. Well, anyway, at least now he won't be inciting people to act against the government to give the government the excuse to clamp down on them. Man, gotta love the shell games that go on here. So actually, I believe that's everything. So now it's time to talk to Stanton Dowd. It's hard to see him. It's actually in this alcove here.
You Dowd?
I agreed to see you because we have a mutual enemy.
Why a vacant building? I thought the Illuminati were bankers, politicians, Council on Foreign Relations types.
We always stayed in the background, even when that was true.
You alright?
Caught this damn plague myself. Anyway, we never had troops like Majestic 12 or freighters full of bioweapons, if what you say is accurate.
It's accurate. I just don't know where the freighter would dock.
They'll want to hide it. The only facility big enough on the East Coast is the Advanced Submarine Facility at the Brooklyn Naval Shipyards.
Of course. That's why FEMA took it over.
They're probably storing the virus in the ship's diesel tanks. The only way to make sure it's destroyed will be to scuttle the ship.
Scuttle a super freighter?
It can be done if you know where to place the charges. Smuggler should have explosives that will work.
I already have some explosives.
I'd pick up some more while I have the chance. But if you think you're equipped, then find your pilot and get going.
You sure you're alright?
I'm hanging in there. If you come across some ambrosia on that ship, however...
Don't worry, I'll get you some medicine.
I'll give you a blueprint of the ship. The X's mark the 5 tri-hull wells. Crack those up. Reverse the bilge pumps, and the ship will split open like a banana. Tong told me he found an interesting molecular signature on the virus, a clue to who developed it. I am certain it was a former member of the Illuminati. The custom among our scientists was to sign their work like painters. It was a group of conspirators within the Illuminati that formed Majestic 12 to begin with. The conspirators were far more ruthless than we were. We couldn't compete. Majestic 12 realized that technology alone could be a source of political power. However, the Illuminati laid the foundation. The multinationals, the global structures Majestic 12 depends upon. Majestic 12 inherited a system that took millennia to develop. It's true that our organization stretches back to the Order of the Assassins, or Hashishim, but not in the way you might imagine. The Order hasn't so much lasted, has been continually revived. Adam Weishaupt started from scratch in Bavaria in 1776. But so did Thomas Jefferson a few years later. It's the idea that has lasted, the system, or the desire. Every thinking person's desire to give the world some decent organization. Cecil Rhodes, for instance. Absolutely no formal connection to the Illuminati at all, but one of the greatest visionaries of centralized power. Now we have Rhodes Scholarships, which feed recruits right into the Council on Foreign Relations, a very powerful tool. In my opinion, the history of the human race has been one long succession of conspiracies. To deceive ourselves, we call the successful conspiracies governments. We're running out of time. Better track down the smuggler.
Well, that's a plot dump. Wow.
MJ-12 troops converging on your position, JC. I'll land the copter on the roof of the ton. Get out of there.
It's a good thing I'm right here by the door. And he's not lying, by the way. There are a ton of MJ-12 troops who are going to come after my ass. But you know what? MJ-12 coming in, maybe it would be a good idea to visit Smuggler. I mean, you think he'd want a heads up about that sort of thing. Oh and by the way, you know something interesting? Oh, hang on.
We are preparing for our operation now. You are finished.
Yes. Password?
Bloodshot.
Yep, there's the MJ-12 troopers now. That's some timing. By the way, you want to know something that's really freaky? Stanton Dowd is a millennial.
I'm picking up incoming MJ-12 troops. They must have your location. Better get what you need from Smuggler pronto and meet me on the roof of the hotel.
I need your help.
So?
I've uncovered the truth about the Grey Death. It's a man-made virus and there's a load of it on a super freighter at the Brooklyn Naval Shipyard.
No tall stories, just tell me what you want.
Help me scuttle it. You have any extra lambs or rockets?
You think you can scuttle a freighter with a lamb?
A few lambs at weld points.
I'll help you out. How about a rocket for a GEP gun? Usually save those for the NSF, but I'll sell it at a loss, say $2,500. You can also have a half dozen lambs for $2,400. Better buy now. I'm selling cheap only because a lot of people could die.
Now, compared to the previous price, the 6 lambs for $2,400 is pretty good.
Give me a break. Hundreds of millions of lives are at stake.
I like what you're doing, but I gotta cover my costs. Hey, I'm starting to get nervous about this. What you're about to do is gonna turn some heads. I don't want any trouble from the authorities.
Well, actually,
UNATCO's planning an operation of some kind. You might want to get out of Hell's Kitchen after I leave.
What kind of operation?
A manhunt, for me. I don't think you want to get caught in the middle.
Thanks for the warning. Come on, let's wrap this up.
alright. Well, I've got 7 lambs now, and I can have 10 max.
You telling me the truth about this super freighter? They're really gonna expose people to the plague?
A Marine from the shipyard told me that FEMA's involved. Guess they've gone from fixing emergencies to making them.
If you ask me, I bet FEMA wants to cause a national emergency and get control of the army.
I think we can expect Walton Simons to make a grab for power one way or another.
That's all they would need. One national emergency. Then they could get rid of the president, shut down Congress, and suspend the Constitution.
Give me the lambs for $2,400. What a deal.
That's all I've got. If you need more, raid the ammo storage facility at the shipyard.
Really give you plenty of explosives for this mission, as you might
The virus itself is a nanotech device. It just happens.
expect. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, Stanton Dowd is a millennial, and there is a very good chance that he is younger than I am. That is crazy. That's what happens when it takes place in the future like this. So, here's the thing about the MJ-12 troopers. There is a limited supply of them.
A damn ghost town.
Oh, there they are. Can't see me.
That's the one.
Oh crap, they can see me. That's odd. Seems like some of them could and some of them couldn't. Party against tomato. It's the only thing left you can say in the society section of the newspaper. Ah, fuck it. But yeah, actually, I've heard some concerns actually about the fact that we are scuttling a deadly virus into the Hudson River. Oh, hey there, guys. Forgot you were here. Luckily, they seem to have forgotten I am here, too. So I'll just, hide in the corner here. In case any of them make it this far, got the riot prod. But yeah, I do have to say that it is probably a bad idea to dump millions of gallons of a deadly plague into the Hudson River, but at the very least, it's not going into water treatment plants across the country. So if there is an outbreak, if there is a terrible outbreak, at the very least it will not be as bad as it could have been had J.C. Denton not done anything. Also, yeah, this place is abandoned. I guess after Sandra left, Papa Renton must have just, given the hell up and gotten out too. Which, it's probably a good idea, what with A, the giant release of virus into the area, and B, the general malaise of, urban life.
Owner's left town, far as I know.
Urban decay.
Heat's off, but I don't mind. I don't mind. A lot of rats, but I guess that's okay. Cops don't care where you are, long as you're inside. Heard this place was condemned. Owner's left town, far as I know.
Yeah. Leaving this place is probably the best possible thing that either Renton could have done. Living in the country is not a picnic, but compared to living in a shit stain like this, it's gotta be the better option. Anyhow, we do not need to be inside the hotel, we need to be on its roof. Let's see if there's anything left here. But yeah, as I was saying, MJ-12, there's a finite number of them, just like there's a finite number of UNATCO troopers and riot police. I wonder. Oh good. He remembered to shut down his account before he left. That's wise. So yeah, if I wanted to, I could just murder all of the MJ-12 troopers. Find a nice place to hide. What the hell?
When the shipment has been destroyed, I will require you to go to Paris. You must find Dowd's associate, Morgan Everett.
That's nice. Okay. Huh. Looks like the MJ-12 troopers aren't following me. That's probably for the best. So now it's time to get the hell out of here. Time to go scuttle a super freighter.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Say farewell to New York City for the very last time. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the conspiracy corner you've all been waiting for. It is time to discuss the Illuminati. The facts. The Illuminati was formed by Adam Weishaupt in Bavaria on May Day in 1776. For reference, Bavaria is in the south of modern-day Germany, and it was among the most prominent kingdoms of the Holy Roman Empire until Germany formed in the 19th century. It continues to be a prominent state in Germany, but right now we're looking at one particular resident. Adam Weishaupt was the first lay professor of canon law at the University of Ingolstadt, which means he taught religious dogma despite not being a confirmed member of the clergy. This wasn't quite his intention, however. He was taught by the Jesuits, and likely wanted to become one, but the Society of Jesus was suppressed by papal decree in 1773. That was because of the political machinations of the Catholic European kingdoms, which in the latter half of the 18th century had decided that the Jesuits were a little too powerful, a little too international, and a little too papal for their liking. The Jesuits also have some standing in the conspiracy crowd, despite how they aren't really a secret society, so I may be getting to them one of these days too. The Jesuits have always been a relatively progressive branch of Christianity, thanks to forming just before the Counter-Reformation. So it's not altogether surprising that when Weishaupt was unable to join, he instead rejected the Catholic Church altogether and embraced the intellectual ideals of the Age of Enlightenment. Like the Carbonari and most other secret societies born at the time, the Illuminati was modeled after the successful Freemason lodges, with multiple degrees, initiation rituals, and quite a few members who were also Freemasons. And in addition to the secret handshakes and other identifiers, Illuminati were known to each other by code names, such as Philo and Spartacus, Spartacus being Weishaupt himself. As 18th century extremists, the Illuminati's demands were quite reasonable compared to today, well, aside from the complete rejection of religion in the Roman Catholic Church. They wanted an end to superstition and prejudice, the ascension of reason and the rule of law, and also gender equality. Still, this was too much to ask at the time, and by March of 1785, not even 9 years after the Illuminati formed, the Bavarian government cracked down on the secret society and published all their secret documents. Weishaupt fled to Gotha, a city in central Germany, a ways north of Bavaria, and died in exile in 1830. The conspiracy. In the late 1790s, 2 different authors claimed that the Illuminati had survived in some form, past the crackdown, and was directly responsible for the Jacobists and the French Revolution, which began on July 14, 1789, 4 years after the secret society officially died. Based on internal documents, which may or may not have been doctored by the Bavarian government, Weishaupt was remarkably cynical for an idealist, believing not in no government, like many of his fellows, but in one government, a one-world state, and at one point he literally wrote that the ends justify the means. According to these documents, the purpose of the Illuminati was to bring about this government through the use of secrecy, through using different names, and co-opting different organizations, such as the Freemasons and reading societies. According to these contemporary conspiracy theorists, before its dissolution, the Illuminati had entered into an alliance with the Order of the Strict Observance, one of the many suborders in Freemasonry, and the OSO would later be rebranded the Scottish Rite sometime afterwards. The Illuminated Freemasonry thus became an additional hierarchy hidden behind the primary 3 degrees of the Freemasons. Everyone who has reached the highest degrees of the Scottish Rite, therefore, is secretly a member of the Illuminati as well. Later authors have added occult overtones to the Illuminati to help bring them in line with the grand unified theory of conspiracies. According to them, Weishaupt grew and smoked hemp, aka marijuana, in order to gain insight into the spiritual world, like the assassins of old and the hippies of new. Another tie to the hippies is actually in their slogan, Ewige Blumenkraft, or Eternal Flower Power. Actually though, that last fact is courtesy of Robert Shea, who co-wrote the postmodern novel trilogy Illuminatus, along with Robert Anton Wilson. I've thought about presenting the trilogy sometime in a literature corner, but the fact is that while I didn't have trouble following the shredded plot lines, the book didn't interest me, and I never finished the first novel. Weishaupt also supposedly learned from a mysterious man named Kolmer, who was obviously the same mysterious man named Altotas, who taught the French occultist Cagliostro, preached a kind of Christian Gnosticism. The name Illuminati itself was obviously taken from the Alumbrados, a Spanish word which means the same thing, and which was a splinter sect of Christianity that appeared during the Spanish Inquisition and supposedly has secret ties to the Jesuits. Other links to the Grand Unified Theory include the Freemason Lodge in Frankfurt, which reportedly accepted the Rothschilds, and the fact that May 1st is a communist holiday. Going by Weishaupt's apparent cynicism, he apparently blended in tenets from all the classic secret societies: Gnostics, Assassins, Knights Templar, Rosicrucians, Masons, Jesuits, everybody. There's also a theory that a document called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is actually about Illuminati policies, and all the anti-Semitic stuff was added for misinformation purposes. And they're almost right, too. Protocols is actually plagiarized from an earlier work called Dialogue in Hell, which lambasted Napoleon III's ambitions, and which itself plagiarized the novel The Mysteries of People. And the anti-Semitic stuff was added to justify Tsarist Russia's anti-Semitic policies. And because the Illuminati had this tenet, maybe, of using other organizations to carry out its goals, and because its members were scattered across Europe after the Bavarian government crushed them, there have been all sorts of groups and societies which others have claimed are being run by the Illuminati, and all sorts of political events masterminded from the shadows. Freemasonry and the French Revolution were merely the first. For instance, do you remember in Communist Corner how I said Karl Marx joined all sorts of secret societies? One of them was the League of the Just, Society for German Expats, which would have included ex-Illuminati members if it hadn't been roughly 60 years after the Illuminati disbanded. Personal thoughts. I am amazed that of all the secret societies that were formed during the Age of Enlightenment, the Illuminati is the one that, in the United States, became our cultural shorthand for evil conspiracy that wants to or already controls the planet and each of us on it. I mean, for most of the world, it's enough to say that Freemason Jews are secretly in charge, but for us, nah. Americans have to go to Bavaria, of all nations, and point to a secret society that never had more than 3,000 members, didn't last a single decade, and accomplished absolutely nothing before the government shut them down. For crying out loud, the monarchists did more to publicize the Illuminati by spreading those vicious rumors than anything Weishaupt managed. But I believe I know why this is the case. There is that lovely coincidence of forming in 1776, but it's really more a matter of that old adage, familiarity breeds contempt. Depending on how you count them, there are more Jews living in the United States than in the nation of Israel. And either way, both nations account for the vast majority of Jewish people who live on this planet. In addition, there are more Freemasons in America than in any other nation. And I believe that's true even if you account for the schism between English and continental Freemasonry. As such, we here are in a better position than anyone else to know that if Freemasons and Jews really do control the world, they're doing a terrible job of concentrating power on themselves. That said, both conspiracy theories are alive and well here as much as anywhere else, but the fact that we have to add something else, like the Illuminati, to make it believable, speaks volumes in my opinion. Now, by being a cultural cornerstone rather than a real organization, the Illuminati has had a lot of different portrayals over the years. As Stanton Dowd just explained, and as Human Revolution would later clarify, the Illuminati in Deus Ex is not directly descended from the Bavarian secret society. It just uses the name so that romantically inclined bankers will cut them checks. I'd say my personal favorite portrayal of the Illuminati is from Gargoyles, the old 90s cartoon show. Now, I'm not talking about the red-robed Council of Doom that appeared in the terrible third season which was produced after the creative team left. I'm talking about the comic book series that ran for a while in the aughts and was written by Greg Weisman. Gargoyles features David Xanatos, the CEO of a multinational conglomerate who is so rich that he can just dig up a Scottish castle and plop it on top of his New York skyscraper. In the comics, it's revealed that Xanatos is actually a low-ranking member of the Illuminati, and one of the top 3 members lives in the White House, as a member of the staff. After all, presidents come and presidents go, but who's going to notice that one of the servants has been in the White House for a lot longer than usual? And who's going to care if that person happens to give every president some good, useful advice? If you want to control the world from the shadows, the first job is to make sure nobody knows who you are. And if any of you out there have a personal favorite Illuminati, well, I'd sure like to hear about it. Thanks for joining me again in Conspiracy Corner, and I hope I'll see you soon.